on the Newman Jets Audio Network. This is the Jetcast, the official podcast of Newman University Athletics, featuring exclusive interviews with coaches, players, administrators, and more. The Jetcast podcast is brought to you by Ascension Via Christi, Donlinger Construction, Mel Hambledon Ford, Eck Agency, Dr. Brennan Lucas and Advanced Orthopedic Associates, Keystone Solid Surfaces, Big Corner Creative, Pepsi, and by iCryo Recovery and Wellness. Here's the voice of the Newman Jets, Blake Cripps.
Well, as we come to the end of the spring sports season, we're getting very close to the end of tennis season as well. It's really down to crunch time for the tennis players here at Newman University. Director of Tennis Shella Augspurger joins us here on the show as the team is getting set to wrap up its season very soon. Both teams entering the last week of the season with a winning record. The men at 10-9, 2-3 in the MIAA and GAC. The women 9-7, 2-4 in the MIAA. And coming off of a couple of games last week, matches against Emporia State and Washburn. Coach Augspurger, always a delight to have you on the show. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I know that last time out, always is tough playing the Ichabods. Didn't quite get the results that you wanted. How do you think that the matches went for the men and the women up in Topeka playing Washburn?
It was a lot windier than we thought it was going to be, and plus it got really hot sooner than it has been. So I think between the combination and us not having been outside as much didn't help us, but I thought they competed well. They're both those teams are very solid in the top of the conference.
Sure.
So I thought everybody played really good matches. Everybody competed well. I mean, it was just a good day. They were just better than we were. I don't know. I mean, everybody played well. We weren't as good as they were yesterday.
And sometimes it's going to happen like that, and especially in a league that's this good. You guys earlier last week did pick up a pair of wins for both the men and the women when you played at Emporia State. So obviously you guys have that capability. What allowed you to be successful against the Hornets?
We're very similar to Emporia. It's always a dogfight on both sides because I think we're just very similar, and they're also friends. A lot of the girls and the guys hang out together on the weekends. A lot of our girls and guys go up there and they're friends, and plus they have a couple players on their team that I recruited pretty heavily to come here, and they ended up going there. So that it's not just a rival, it's also a friendship rival kind of thing. So it's pretty heated. It could almost make it
even, you want to beat them even worse when they're your friends, right?
Yes, and there's a couple kids up there from Wichita, and there's a couple international kids that are friends with the international kids from here, and they've just kind of formed some friendships. So it's very heated, but it's in good.
It's a healthy rivalry.
Yes, it's a healthy rivalry.
It's a healthy rivalry.
And it's good because also we're very similar in levels. So it's not, the matches are always close, and the girls got lucky. We went to a couple third sets that we won that could have been just as close as the boys. And Luca's match came down to the one that decided for the boys. And it's kind of different up there because they play 4 matches outside and they play 2 inside. So it's kind of complicated. So it started out a little bit crazy because I was trying to figure out how many people would have to play 1 doubles inside and then have to move outside, and then they don't get a warm-up. So they're playing on 2 different situations. So it gets kind of crazy.
How does that work in terms of trying to decide, well, these players, because I know typically you match up number 1 versus number 1 and then number 2 versus number 2. Do you get to pick which of the I guess levels plays outside, or is that predetermined?
Well, it's usually agreed upon by both the umpire and both coaches.
Okay.
But I was trying to figure out, it was going to affect like 3 of my players. The ones going from outside inside wouldn't be as difficult, but the ones going from inside outside.
Sure.
So, and you don't get a warm up because of the rules. If you're the first 3 on, you don't get a warm up. If you're the next 3 on, you get a 10-minute warm up. So that's what I was trying to figure out. So, and I wanted to make sure it was in best favor for my players instead of a detriment.
Of course.
So it worked out, and we refined. It worked out, but it started the match out a little crazy.
Who has been, the guys, and we've talked to a couple on this show here, but who have been the guys who have been playing well here in this month of April as you try to, go down the stretch and finish strong in the MIAA and GAC?
I think Pedro's been really consistent at that 3 spot. Sometimes he's been playing 2. I've moved him up even to 1 at times, depending on the school that we're playing. But he's really consistent at number 3. He's been playing really good. Gustavo's been playing really good. He's been going between 4 and 5. Isfin, our new guy that came in from the transfer from West Liberty, he's been very consistent. And then Luca. So it's mostly the bottom of our lineup, like that 3, 4, 5, 6 spot, have been very consistent. Luca's won, I don't know how many matches this year where it's come down to his match, and he's playing a guy who's level-wise over him, and he comes back, and I don't know how he does it, but he just keeps doing it. He's just one of those kids, you put him out there, and you always feel like you have a chance no matter who he's playing, and that's a really nice thing to have as a coach, to know you have that reliable player. But those 4 on the men's side. On the women's side, Amber, she's my senior. She's been playing 6. She's very consistent. Divya has been very consistent. She's another senior. So, and then anything else, Anna is getting better at the 2 spot. So she's won a couple matches that I didn't think she was going to win, playing against people above her. But those are mostly, everything else is kind of up and down.
Sure.
So, and it's pretty predictable when you get to this point where we know who's the consistent ones. But, those 1, 2, and 3 spots are so difficult. So it's hard to be really consistent at those spots. But the lower level parts of our lineup are pretty consistent.
Coming up here on the Jetcast today, we're going to be talking some Newman Jets baseball. We've got 2 Newman Jet players coming up for you today. Zack Stewart will be joining us. Jake Angelico will be joining us. Jake first, then Zack. We're going to have a women's player on the show next week to talk some more women's tennis for you, so that'll be coming up on a later edition of the Jetcast. What's next for the men in terms of the postseason? Your regular season schedule is complete, but the MIAA GAC, what's the postseason look like? Is there a postseason for men's tennis?
They did qualify after beating the Emporia, so they will make it into the tournament. They will play Wednesday morning at 10. We will play the number 2
and
coming
that's
out
next week.
Yes,
okay.
Next week. They are playing a practice match Sunday for Senior Day. It starts at 2:00 at Riverside.
Okay.
I've got some alums coming in to play them in a match.
Oh wow!
So it should be fun. And then we'll get to
how
see
is
them.
that going to be to see some of the old guys coming back that you used to coach? Maybe some that were stars in the old Heartland Conference, and have them push these new guys around a little bit.
Well, I think some of them were saying we'll play at the bottom instead of wanting to play at the top, because they've been out of it. Some of the guys are still working at tennis clubs, but they're not like playing all the time. So, and this team is pretty strong. This is one of my strongest teams depth-wise. We don't have that big superstar that we've always had in the past,
sure.
But we have a very strong, deep team. And I think it'll be fun just to have them back. We haven't done it for a couple years. I couldn't find a match for them for Senior Day, so this will be fun. The girls play UCO at 1:00, and then we'll have
the women have got Saturday, Sunday. They've got a match against Northeastern State on Saturday, and then Sunday you've got Central Oklahoma. So you've got a whole another week of MIAA play coming up. Mm-hmm. There are more MIAA women's programs than there are men's programs, which is why the GAC and MIAA combined to make a league so that they could have a league, because the MIAA just doesn't have enough men's tennis schools. But talk about the challenge coming up for the ladies with the Riverhawks and the Broncos this weekend.
Those are going to be 2 tough matches. Those 2 teams are always really good. We need to beat one of them to get into the conference tournament. They've changed. They changed the amount of teams from 8 to 6. So this will be the first year we're a lot of times at that bubble spot
right in there.
At these 7, 8, and now they've gone to 6. So we need to get one more victory before the women can qualify.
Okay. So one more win. How much are you in favor? How many schools are there that play tennis? Are there 12?
I think it's 11.
11?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the reduction from 8 to 6?
Well, most of the coaches didn't even know until last week that it happened. And they said it happened in December of 21. but most of the coaches didn't know it was voted on, and
Who voted on that?
they said the athletic directors did, but
Okay.
we weren't a member yet, so Joe didn't have
Correct.
she didn't have a vote in it, but the other coaches talked to their athletic directors and said they didn't know. So I don't know. We have a call at the end of May, so we'll see, whether it goes back to that or what happens.
Sure.
But, right now it's
I'm
6
assuming
and 6.
from what you're talking about in terms of what the other coaches have said, it sounds like the coaches are pretty universally in favor of having 8 instead of 6.
Well, that's what most of them have said. Even the ones that are at the top, that will always probably be in those top 6. We were surprised. I saw it in January, and that's when I was asking about it, and that's when I talked to Joe about it, and she said, that it had happened, but she didn't get a vote because we weren't full members yet. So I don't know. They'll have a discussion about it. They tried to get something changed during the school year, but that, it's
hard
not
to
gonna
do.
happen. It's hard
Sure.
to do, especially this time of year. So they'll go with 6 and 6 is the way it is for this year. And we'll have those discussions in May when we have our conference calls.
Well, with that being, kind of the way that it is, how do the ladies approach this weekend trying to, not put too much pressure on themselves against really good competition? Where does NSU and UCO currently rank? And, what are you guys going to have to do to put yourself in the right mindset to try to knock off one of those two teams?
Well, most teams this time of year are dealing with injuries, so we're hoping I'm not hoping that anybody's injured, but I mean,
of course not.
Sometimes you catch somebody at a bad weekend where they've got somebody that's overuse injury where they're not going to play as hard, or they may not be in the lineup.
Sure.
Both these teams are really, really strong. They'll be in the top 6 for sure.
Okay.
Unless we maybe could knock one of them
Okay.
out, that would be good.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
But they're really strong. The girls are they've just been really good. They go after everything they can. Motivating them to play has not been an issue this year. I don't think they backed down. I don't feel like they did. Washburn is, one of the top teams, and I don't feel like we backed down yesterday. So I'm not worried about motivating them to play hard, or I don't put the pressure on them either. I mean, if it happens, it happens. And sometimes when you put too much pressure on an individual player, they get more nervous and
Sure.
get down on themselves. So I don't coach that way, and I just want them to play their hardest. And if if they're the better player, they'll win that day. And that's the direction they have to go with. Otherwise, I think it puts too much pressure on one person. It's not like the whole team. It's each individual person in our sport. So I have to be careful how much pressure you put on somebody as far as expectations. They know effort is a big thing to me, and if that effort is good enough to win, then they will.
You talk about, what this team has done this year, and we've talked a lot about what they've done on the court, but on this show, I like to sometimes get off onto little tangents. And, being somebody who is from Cincinnati, we actually have a lot of people from Cincinnati in the athletic department now for some reason, with our SID, Jordan Kuderer, Zack Brake, our associate athletic director, external operations, also from Cincinnati. What's that been like to all of a sudden be, from going from kind of being on your own, the only Cincinnati person, and now there's a bunch of Cincinnatians running around, it seems like.
Yeah, there are. And it's kind of fun because, like Jordan, he played at a school. My dad was a football coach, a big name football coach in Cincinnati, Ohio. And so just talking to them about sports and coaches. And I grew up where a lot of those coaches were like surrogate fathers for me because my dad was friends with them.
Sure.
And so it's kind of fun just talking about things back there. My whole family's still living there, and so it was kind of, I don't get back there very often because of the coaching, but
of course.
It's fun to have, just to be able to talk, and they're all Bengals fans, and half my family is Bengals fans, but then the other half is Browns. Well, I'm a Chiefs fan really now, but
made the best decision.
The Browns
for sure.
are still in my heart because they were in Ohio before the Bengals were.
They were.
So it's kind of like a big rivalry between the Browns. They've been doing better in the last couple of years, but
not that great.
No,
not compared
but they're still in my heart.
Of
so
course.
It's like
I get it, but the Chiefs is definitely the superior option, without a doubt.
My family's Chiefs fans. We've been here long enough. Actually, my youngest son, when we lived in Atlanta, for some reason he took who was it? Derek Thomas. When Derek Thomas, his name is Derek, so that was his favorite player, and he wanted his room done in the Kansas City Chiefs when we were in Atlanta. And then we got moved here, and
then you're in Chiefs Kingdom.
Yeah, so it worked out fine.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're going to pick a favorite Chief, Derek Thomas, you can do a lot worse than picking Derek Thomas as your favorite Chief. So last thing for you, let's focus on the men, because they do know that they're in the conference tournament. What do they need to do to, not just get to the conference tournament now, but maybe surprise some folks and get a couple guys some conference championships coming up this week?
Well, I think if it works out the way it is, we might be playing Southeast Oklahoma, who we were supposed to play earlier in the year, but we got, I think it was rained out. When we played UT Tyler, we were supposed to play Southeastern the next day, and we tried to reschedule it 3 times, but it just, between the 2 schedules, we didn't get it. So it may end up that we play them. It looks like, unless they lose this weekend, that they'll be second in the GAC, and we'll play the second place team from the GAC.
Okay.
So, and that's a doable match. I think we have a good shot.
What seed will you be?
We'll be the 3 seed.
The 3, okay. So a 2 seed versus a 3 seed for the Newman men. The MIAA GAC championships for tennis are coming up on Wednesday, a week from today, and we're going to see if the women can make the MIAA championships again Saturday against Northeastern State, Sunday against Central Oklahoma. Those matches are here in Wichita?
Yes, at Riverside.
At Riverside, open to the public?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And come out and see them. They're fun to watch, and it'll be good matches.
First ball will be at what time each day?
It's noon on Saturday and 1 o'clock on Sunday.
So noon on Saturday, 1 o'clock on Sunday. If you'd like to get out to support the Newman Jet women's tennis team, we'll talk to a player from that team coming up next week on the show, hopefully talking about the team getting in to the MIAA championship. Coach, always a delight. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Blake.
We're talking Newman Jets baseball. Jake Angelico, right fielder for the Jets baseball team, joins us when we come back.
Where can you land the best Jet swag? The official online store of Newman University Athletics, NUJetsgear.com. The store features the greatest variety of Jets logo gear anywhere, from latest clothing styles and hats to Newman branded lawn chairs and office supplies and more. NUJetsgear.com is your place to purchase sports specific, alumni, parents, and hard to find Newman merchandise. Shop right now on your computer or phone, NUJetsgear.com, or click the Shop Now button at NewmanJets.com.
Welcome back to the Jetcast. We're talking Newman Jets baseball here on episode 95. Jets baseball team returning to action this weekend. Maybe the most surprising team in the MIAA, the number 18 Missouri Southern Lions. Baseball writers haven't picked their poll for this week at the time of this recording, but there's a lot to believe that no reason to believe that the 30-10 Lions are going to be anywhere else other than in the top 25. They are 1 game back of Central Missouri for first place, and no reason to believe that they're not going to be ranked in both polls. The Jets have some experience this year, though, knocking off top 25 teams. They've already got a couple of top 25 wins this year and a top 25 series win, and we are joined here by a senior right fielder off of this Newman Jet team, Jake Angelico, to talk a little bit about the Jets as they get set for 6 of their toughest games of the year coming up, as they will go on the road for all but 1 game. I believe it's 9 out of 10 to end the season away from McCarthy Field after just wrapping up a successful 12-game homestand. Jake, thanks for the time. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you for having me.
Well, obviously, starting with the loss, a Jet loss on Tuesday against Fort Hays State on the road. They had a guy that was pitching very, very well. I know that the conditions were difficult with the wind blowing in, and he was pitching low to you guys. Offensively, what did you feel like the challenges he was presenting? And obviously, it sounded from listening here in Wichita, it sounded like he was, had his A+ stuff in that game.
Yeah, it was just a tough day to be a hitter. He was filling up the zone down, and the wind was blowing in, so it was tough to get anything elevated. And he pitched well, and we didn't execute when we needed to.
Well, obviously, That's disappointing, but you already have the series win against them, and as a team, you guys had won 4 of your last 5, going into that to end the homestand. So certainly there's a lot to be excited about, and winning 4 of 5 at home based on where you guys were in the MIAA standings, that was really big to get you guys in position now to kind of control your own destiny here in the last month of the season.
Right, just as you said, we still control our own destiny. It would have been really nice to get that win, but we're still, at the end of the day, in the same spot we were, and we still need to get some wins here down the stretch to really solidify our spot.
Well, absolutely. Well, how do you keep that momentum going now? Obviously, you guys have been, and not that it's been easy. Some of these games have been close. You guys have had to come back in some of these series. You guys have been humbled a couple of times and then come back the next day and played really, really well. So how do you get that momentum and that good feeling back as you head out on the road to Joplin?
I mean, we just got to keep doing what we've been doing all year long. We can't get too disappointed by what happened. Like, it's baseball. Bad days happen, We just got to keep doing exactly what we've been doing all year, and good things will happen.
Well, and normally when we have somebody on, normally it's because they're, having they're doing a great job at the plate. And Jake has done a great job at the plate. He's second on the team in average. He's in the top 3 in just about every major offensive category. But you are on a little bit of a slump right now, and I know that's not always an easy thing to talk about. Some guys want to talk about it. Some guys don't want to discuss it. They don't want to use the S word. But you had not had consecutive hitless games the entire season. So, I mean, the job that you've done this year has been unbelievable. You've had a tremendous season. If you don't get another hit the rest of the year, you will have had a great season. But I know that you don't want to have that happen here.
Of course not.
Of course not. So, you've hit so well against Southeastern Oklahoma State, and then against ECU, it seemed like it just wasn't quite as comfortable for you at the plate, and then that played out in the weekend series and on Tuesday. When you're a player going through that, especially when you've had the kind of offensive year that you've had, which has been amazing, what kind of adjustments do you try to make, and how do you try to adjust, not just mechanically, but maybe even mentally?
Well, I think this is where the experience of – because this is my 5th year of college baseball. I think this is where it really plays in, where I just understand at this point that's baseball. Like, I'm seeing the ball well. My swing feels fine. There's just little things that just aren't going my way. Pitchers are making good pitches. And, it'll come around as long as I keep doing exactly what I've been doing all year long.
Well, and, I mean, what has the year been like for you? Because, I mean, you've been dominant. You were the Week 1 MIAA hitter of the week. And honestly, like a couple of weeks ago, I thought certainly, like, man, you hit for the cycle, you hit for the average you did. Like, he's going to get hitter of the week, and then, some idiot for another team has to hit 6 home runs
right.
and get it. So, what are you going to do? But, I mean, you've been really not that far removed from playing some of your best baseball of the year. So, obviously with your amount of confidence, and Coach Mouse always talks about how you guys have just limitless confidence as a team, which can be a good thing and a bad thing in his mind. You don't have to go back very far to remember, how well that you've been hitting the ball.
Right. I still have all the confidence in the world every time I step up to the plate, even though it's been a little bit down lately. I still believe that pitcher can't beat me every time I step in there.
Well, and you have been in this home run race that's kind of become a 3-horse race here to set. You guys have tied and now surpassing the single-season home run record. Jenner Steele, who could not be here with us on this show today, got in front now at 13 home runs. And then the next guy coming up here, Zack Stewart, which you'll talk to in just a moment, 1 home run back. And then I think you're at 10 still, but you don't want to force that. But is that something? How has that played out in the clubhouse between you three as you guys try to set this record?
Oh, those guys just won't stop hitting them. I can't keep up. But no, I'm so happy for those guys. Those guys work their tails off, and they deserve it.
Well.
And I've never considered myself a home run hitter, so if you would have told me at the beginning of the year that I would have hit double digits anyway, I would have been happy.
Yeah.
I would have been happy regardless, but yeah, those guys just won't stop hitting them. I can't keep up with them.
Well, and part of the deal is, a lot of times it's easier to hit home runs when you're not trying to hit home run.
Right.
You just see the ball and hit the ball. Sometimes that's when it's easier to hit a home run when you're trying to hit one out. That's a lot of times when you get you top it off or you hit it way up in the air. And so, maybe just having the natural approach, maybe that's going to work out for you in the end.
Yeah, I think it will.
Well, you've had so much speed as well this year. You've been the most dangerous base stealer on the team by far. Now, you're not necessarily putting up, like Tyler Push numbers, but you've been extremely successful. What makes you such a good base stealer?
I actually learned a lot from Tyler Push last year, and I'm not as fast as he was.
Yeah, he's very fast.
He got away with some bad jumps sometimes just because of how fast he was, but that's something that I can't get away with. So he taught me, he helped me a lot with getting jumps last year, just watching him and learning from him. He got some phenomenal jumps. He timed up pitchers really, really well, and that's something that I took from him, and I've done it really well this year. I've timed up a lot of pitchers and gotten really good jumps.
Well, and talking about jumps, how much does that not only help you steal bases, but how much does that help you defensively in the outfield?
Yeah, it's a deciding factor on a lot of fly balls. That first step is make or break sometimes. Same way with base stealing, that first step can make it, break it.
How much has it been fun for you to watch some of the seniors on this pitching staff? And I know that you guys didn't get quite the outings that you wanted yesterday from guys like Ian Leckie, but you go back to him getting the save on senior day, and he had the 3-inning save against Northwest Missouri, and you guys have gotten some great starts recently from Van Deventer, from Nate Deniston, so you guys have gotten a lot of great pitching lately. What's it been like to see those guys work?
Yeah, it's fun to watch when those guys are going. They just compete their tails off every time. Even if some days they just don't have their best stuff, they're always filling up the zone. They're competing. They're competing as hard as they can. It's fun to watch.
Or in Van Deventer's case, when the wind is blowing out at 50 miles per hour, it's kind of hard to be competitive in that situation. And not only that, but there was such a great crowd for you guys on senior day. The whole last series, it's pretty crummy that, we liked it last year having the whole last month at home, but obviously this year you guys have to, pay the piper, so to speak, and so you've got a long road trip. But how great was that to get everybody up here for Easter weekend, and such a great atmosphere at the ballpark for that last weekend series?
It was so awesome. We all fed off it, and you could tell Nate definitely fed off of it.
For sure.
It was awesome to have all our families there watching us play. It was a great moment I'll remember forever.
There's not many classes, not many sports that you can have so many guys in a senior class, but you guys have got a dozen. What's this senior class meant to you?
Oh, we've all been so close this whole way. Just coming in last year, we did something that we didn't think would happen. This program went 500. We made a big step to get this program where it is now, and we all did it together, so it's been awesome.
Well, not only that, but we'll make this your last question. You head into Missouri Southern this weekend. You guys, if you play the kind of baseball that you can, and you've already beaten a top 25 team this year, not only do you have a chance to not just match being 500, you guys can surpass 500. So, how do you guys kind of collectively think about that? And obviously you don't want to put too much pressure on yourself, but at the end of the day, if you end the year at over 500 overall, you guys are probably in the MIAA tournament.
Right, and we have our sights set on that. We want to make it bad. We want to keep playing, and we want to do something that's never been done in the MIAA for this program. So we're really excited to keep going, just keep playing. See where it happens. See what
Jets
happens.
have not made a postseason baseball tournament since the 2014 Heartland Conference tournament. It's a 3-game series against Missouri Southern beginning on Friday. Then they've got Pittsburgh State the week after that. We've got one more game for you on the Newman Jets Audio Network, a midweek game next Wednesday. 1 o'clock first pitch against Oklahoma Baptist. So we'll have that one for you on the network. Jake, best of luck to you and the Jets this weekend.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And another guy you're going to want to wish good luck for is Zack Stewart. He's coming up next on the Jetcast.
I have a little birthday message for you from someone too.
I heard you really love basketball. You're a good shooter and a good dribbler. Happy birthday, MJ, and I hope you enjoy your day.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Newman Jets baseball is once again back in action, coming up for a 3-game MIAA series against the top 25 Missouri Southern State Lions. We've got another Jet baseball player on with us today. Senior at shortstop, hitting .291, and he's actually got a 10-game hitting streak he's going to take with him into Joplin, and he's hit safely in 11 of his last 12. Zack Stewart joins us here on the show. Zack, congratulations. You guys have been hitting the ball very well lately. You've certainly individually been hitting the ball very well here lately. What do you think has been the key to this run of success that you've had here? Really, since not that you've had any real bad stretches, you've been pretty consistent throughout the year. But man, since the calendar turned to April, you've been kind of on a tear a little bit.
Thank you. Yeah, I've just been trying to hit the ball hard and hit it where they ain't.
Yeah,
that's been leading to me getting on base a lot and just waiting to get my pitch, not chasing. Looking to get balls that I can hit and do damage with. Put balls over the fence. And that's what I've really been looking for. Well,
you mentioned, put balls over the fence. This is another guy in this three-guy race to see who's going to be the single-season home run leader. So your name's going to definitely be in the record book no matter where you finish, because you're going to be either 1, 2, or 3 at this point. But you don't often see shortstop as the guy that's hitting a ton of home runs. I mean, I know, when we had the Trinity in baseball with Garcia Parra and Alex Rodriguez and Jeter, they hit a bunch of home runs. But have you always been a power hitter?
No, never in my life. But being a hitter at McCarthy Field here at Newman, the right-handed batters really have a good advantage when the wind's blowing out to the left field more than 50% of the games. So, it kind of creeps in the back of your head. If I just get it in the air to left field, then I know that it has a chance, and that's really helped our offense a lot.
Yeah, well, for sure. And when you play here versus a different field where maybe the configuration is different, maybe the wind patterns are different, is that something that informs how you approach your at-bats based on where you're playing and what the weather's like?
100%. It's different every single game at every single field and location that we play at. You adjust your game plan according to that, and so some days you're not going to be able to hit the ball in the air, and you got to hit a line drive and get on and just work the bases a little bit. And other days when it's blowing out, you just got to adjust for that as well.
Well, and I know that Coach Mouse has talked a lot about approach this year and how he wants you guys to be a little bit more patient in the approach and in terms of trying to get on base more, trying to walk more. How have you tried to integrate what he's asked you guys to do into your own personal game?
Absolutely. We have a bunch of really good hitters on the team that like to swing the bat, and sometimes that bites us. When we get a little too swing happy, we start getting out of our comfort zone and getting away from our game, which is just trying to see pitches and wait until you get one that you can deal with.
And what's kind of been the adjustment you've made with Coach Pedlow coming in and kind of bringing his philosophy in? Because obviously, offensively, you guys are having yet another spectacular year at the top of the MIAA conference.
Yeah, he's really just another good person to talk to about approach. That's been a lot of success to our hitting this season, is going into the box with the right mentality and trying to do what needs to get done. When we need to score runs, we can score runs this way or that way. We'll do whatever it takes, and that approach and that mindset change has really helped us.
Well, that senior day win was so emotional for everybody, and it was such a close game, such a perfect way to go into the Easter holiday. What was that like for you and your 11 senior teammates that you celebrated with?
Oh gosh, it was such an amazing day. All the families that were there, it was an electric environment. I couldn't have asked for a better ending senior day. It was just how we drew it up, close game win. It was awesome.
With 2 senior pitchers out there getting the win and the save, and what has this senior class meant to you? With such a large senior class as well.
Yeah, the seniors this year are amazing. Great group of guys. We like to talk about each other as a family because we spend so much time with each other. It's really good to be around them, and they're all such good leaders. All 15 of them are excellent role models to our team, and the young guys look up to. It's a really good thing.
Yeah, you mentioned 15, actually 17 seniors on the team. 3 of them are coming back, and there might be 2 more that may come back. We're going to see. We're hoping that we can get more of them back for next year. Speaking of last year, tied for 8th. You guys were so close to being the first team a season ago that made the MIAA tournament. You won 500 last year. How much did that motivate this year's team being that close? I mean, you win one more game and you are in. And I know that there were a couple of games that you look back on and think, man, that could have been the one that would have gotten us in. How much did that push you guys in the offseason to make sure that, you know what, we don't want to be in that situation this year?
Extremely. It pushed us over the edge, and we all don't want to feel that way again. And just knowing that it was in our fingertips last year really makes us hungry to come out and compete this year a lot. And I think that has a lot to do with that for these senior guys coming back, knowing that we were that close last year and all we got to do is do a little more.
Obviously, against Fort Hays State, couldn't quite get the ball in the air the way that you guys wanted to. They had a really good pitching outing. You guys had some good pitching as well, that they were just able to outpitch you just a little bit on Tuesday. How do you flush that mentally for you guys and come back and get ready to face what should be a very, very daunting Missouri Southern pitching staff?
Yeah, to bounce back, we just got to have faith in ourselves, have confidence that we can get hits, because that's what we've been doing all year. And it's just not characteristic of us of just not getting many hits and putting at-bats together. It's just hasn't been our strength all season. We've always been putting the ball in play hard. And, coming up, we just got to make that adjustment. What
do you feel like your role is and the role of this 11-man, 12-man senior class that walked last week in order to get this team to where you guys want it to be? Going into that last week, I think you guys are playing Northeastern State just like last year. It'll be on the road instead of here. And it looks like that series may have a lot of determination on whether you guys or the Riverhawks make the MIAA tournament. To get yourself in the correct mindset to play those games, to finish strong, I'll make this your last question. What is your role and what's the senior class's role on this team to get you guys in a position to make sure that you've got the opportunity to hold your fate in your own hands and not need any help there on the last week of the season?
Yeah, my role and the rest of the seniors' role is to be a leaders of the team, and we want to be people that guys can lean on for example and for help if they need it. I feel like everyone would say that they are totally good with coaching a teammate up or being there to talk with someone about how they're feeling at the plate or in the field or whatever it is, sport-related. We're all just there to help each other. I'd say we're all leaders and lead by example.
I guess I have to ask one question. Who's going to win the home run race?
Oh, man, we love to talk about this in the clubhouse. Me and Jenner Steele are really good friends. And
is there any trash talk about the home run, or is this all just a friendly rivalry?
Yeah, no, there's a bunch of trash talk. I love to let him know that if he doesn't hit one, then I'm going to hit one. And
there have been a couple of times when he's hit one and then you've hit one later in the game or vice versa.
Exactly. And he'll let me know. He'll let me know when that happens too. And it's nice, just friendly competition for both of us to keep going. And it really helps push us.
Do you – I mean, I think I know the answer to this, but who's the better trash talker?
He's got the biggest mouth I've ever
That's kind of
met.
what I...
You can hear him from a mile away, yeah.
I kind of assumed that it would be Jenner Steele. Well, we'll see if Jenner or Zack can either one hit a home run coming up against Missouri Southern. It's a 3-game series coming up this weekend in Joplin. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the Jets taking on a top 25 Lion team on the road. Best of luck to you, sir.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
That is our show for this week. Next week, we're going to have some Newman Jets softball coming on and also some more women's tennis. So we'll plan to see you then. Until then, Blake Cripps in Wichita saying, go Jets.